The Corridor of Sleep. A sci-fi story. The First Fall. Dr. Christina Wexler had walked the East Maintenance hallway 100 times without incident. It was a straight, unremarkable passage, white composite walls, recessed LED strips, a faint hum from the ventilation system. Nothing about it suggested danger. Nothing about it suggested anything at all. Which is why the security footage was so disturbing. Christina watched the recording again, elbows on her desk, chin resting on her clasped hands. The timestamp flickered in the corner. 3 hours, 14 minutes, and 22 seconds. Technician Rafi Calderon entered the hallway carrying a diagnostic tablet. He walked 10 meters, slowed, staggered, and collapsed as if someone had unplugged him from reality. The tablet clattered beside him. He didn't brace himself, didn't reach out, didn't even twitch, just down. The footage continued. Rafi lay motionless for exactly 6 minutes and 41 seconds. Then, without warning, he jerked awake, scrambled backward on hands and heels, and stared at the far end of the hallway with an expression Christina had only seen on trauma victims. She paused the video on his face, eyes wide, pupils dilated, mouth open in a silent scream. She exhaled slowly. "What did you see, Rafi?" A soft chime sounded behind her. The door slid open. Dr. Kian Vale stepped inside, tall, angular, and perpetually exhausted. "You're watching it again. I'm trying to understand it." "You won't," Kian said. "Not from the footage." Christina turned in her chair. "He's stable. Physically, yes. Psychologically." Kian rubbed the bridge of his nose. "He keeps asking if the sky is still black." Christina's stomach tightened. "He said that before?" "He said a lot of things before he started screaming." Christina stood. "Take me to him." The Dream City. Rafi sat upright in the infirmary bed, knees drawn to his chest, fingers tapping a frantic rhythm against his shins. His eyes flicked to Christina and Kian as they entered. "You're real," he whispered. "Good, good." Christina pulled a chair close. "Rafi, I need you to tell me what happened in the hallway." He swallowed hard. "I fell asleep." "You lost consciousness," Kian corrected gently. "No," Rafi insisted. "I fell asleep, like someone pressed a hand over my mind and pushed." Christina exchanged a glance with Kian. "And when you woke up?" "I wasn't here." Rafi's voice trembled. "I was somewhere else." "Describe it." Rafi stared past them, eyes unfocused. "A city. Huge. Empty. Buildings like teeth. Streets wide enough for aircraft. Everything made of pale stone. And above it all," he shuddered, "a sky blacker than space. No stars. No moon. Just black." Christina leaned forward. "Were you alone?" At first. Rafi's tapping stopped. His hands curled into fists. "Something was watching me. Couldn't see it, but I felt it. Like pressure behind my eyes. Like it was trying to understand me." Kian stepped closer. "Understand you how?" Rafi looked at him, and for a moment, his expression was almost pitying. "Like you'd study an insect that suddenly started speaking." Silence settled over the room. Christina finally said, "Rafi, did anything follow you back?" Rafi's breath hitched. "I don't know, but when I woke up, I swear I heard footsteps in the hallway." The Wormhole. The research facility, officially the European Spatial Distortion Observatory, unofficially the Hole, had been built around the only stable micro-wormhole humanity had ever detected. It wasn't large enough to send matter through, but it emitted gravitational and electromagnetic anomalies that fascinated physicists and terrified everyone else. Christina had been studying it for 6 years. She knew its rhythms, its pulses, its moods. She could predict its fluctuations with near-perfect accuracy. But the hallway incident didn't match any known wormhole behavior. Still, she needed to check. The wormhole chamber was a cathedral of steel and glass. In the center, suspended in a magnetic containment lattice, floated a shimmering distortion, like a sphere of water rippling in zero gravity. Pulsed faintly, as if breathing. Christina approached the console. "Show me last night's readings." The holographic display unfolded. Data scrolled in tight columns. Kian frowned. No spikes. No surges. No gravitational shear. "Exactly," Christina said. "Nothing happened." Which means the hallway anomaly isn't from the wormhole. Christina didn't answer, because she wasn't sure that was true. The corridor. They walked the East Maintenance hallway together, slow and cautious. The lights flickered slightly, normal for this wing, Christina told herself. The air felt colder than usual, but that could be the ventilation. Rafi had collapsed at the midpoint. Christina stopped there. "Anything?" Kian asked. She closed her eyes, listened. A faint hum, the distant thrum of the wormhole containment field. Her own heartbeat, nothing else. She opened her eyes and froze. There was dust on the floor. Not facility dust, no gray particulate from machinery, no flakes of insulation. This dust was pale, almost white, and fine as powdered bone. It formed a thin trail leading toward the far end of the hallway. Kian crouched beside it. "What the hell is this?" Christina knelt. The dust clung to her glove like static. "This wasn't here yesterday." Kian's voice dropped. "Christina, this looks like the stone Rafi described." She didn't respond, because she already knew he was right. The second fall. They set up sensors, cameras, thermal scanners, EM monitors, everything they had. Then they waited. At 2:11, the motion detector pinged. Christina and Kian rushed to the monitors. Technician Lian Zhou was walking the hallway, following the dust trail. She had volunteered, insisted, actually. "If something's happening in my facility," she'd said, "I'm not hiding from it." On the screen, Lian paused at the midpoint. Her shoulders slumped, her head tilted, and she collapsed. Christina swore and sprinted for the hallway. Kian was right behind her. They reached Lian's body in seconds. She was breathing, but deeply, too deeply. REM twitches flickered beneath her eyelids. "She's dreaming," Kian said. Christina shook her. "Lian, wake up." "Nothing." Kian grabbed her wrist. "Her pulse is normal. She's stable." Christina looked down the hallway. The dust trail was thicker now, and something else had appeared. A broken tile, pale stone, cracked diagonally, lay on the floor like a dropped artifact. Christina whispered, "It's coming through." Lian's dream. Lian woke screaming. Kian held her shoulders while Christina injected a mild sedative. Lian's eyes darted wildly, searching the room. "It saw me," she gasped. "It saw me this time." Christina leaned close. "What saw you?" Lian shook her head violently. "I don't know, but it was closer than before. The city, it's not empty. It's waiting." Christina felt a chill crawl up her spine. "Describe what you saw." Lian swallowed. "The same city Rafi described. Endless streets, buildings like monoliths. But I wasn't alone. There were shapes moving in the windows. Tall shapes, thin, watching." Kian asked, "Did they approach you?" "No," Lian's voice cracked. "They didn't need to. They were already inside my head." Christina exchanged a look with Kian. This was escalating. Fast. The symbols. By morning, the hallway had changed again. More dust, more broken tiles, and now symbols. They were etched into the floor in long looping strokes, like calligraphy carved by a trembling hand. The symbols matched nothing in the facility database. Nothing human. Christina crouched beside one. "These weren't here last night." Kian scanned it with a handheld analyzer. Composition matches the stone dust. Whatever's writing these, it's from the dream city. Christina stood. "Dreams don't leave physical residue." Kian looked at her. "They do now." The theory. Back in the lab, Christina paced in front of the holographic display. "The wormhole doesn't transport matter," she said. "We've proven that. But what if it transports something else?" Kian folded his arms. Like what? Information, patterns, neural structures. You're saying the wormhole is transmitting dreams. Not just transmitting, Christina said. Exchanging. Kian stared at her. You think the dream city is real. I think it's a place, a physical location on the other side of the wormhole. And when someone falls asleep in the hallway, their consciousness is pulled across. Kian exhaled slowly. And something there is pulling back. The third fall. They should have sealed the hallway. They should have evacuated the facility. But science demanded answers, and curiosity was a stronger force than fear. So when Dr. Tomas Ivers volunteered to enter the hallway with full biometric monitoring, Christina agreed. Tomas walked slowly, narrating into his headset. No unusual sensations. Air temperature stable. Lighting. He stopped. Christina, he said softly. I feel tired. Get out of there, Christina ordered. Tomas took one step back. Then he collapsed. His vitals spiked. Brain activity surged into REM levels. Christina ran. But halfway down the hallway, she stopped dead. Because Tomas wasn't alone. A shape stood beside his unconscious body. Tall, thin, featureless. Like a silhouette cut from the black sky Rafi had described. It flickered once, then vanished. Christina stumbled backward, heart hammering. Kian reached her. What happened? Christina pointed with a shaking hand. It's not just coming through objects. Her voice was barely a whisper. It's coming through itself. The awakening. Tomas woke with a single sentence. It knows our names. Christina felt the blood drain from her face. What do you mean? Tomas stared at her with hollow eyes. It spoke to me, not with words, with impressions, concepts. It showed me the city, showed me the sky, showed me the place where it waits. Kian asked, what does it want? Tomas shook his head. Not want. Need. Need what? Tomas looked at the ceiling. At first, I thought it needed our dreams. He swallowed. But it needs more than that. Christina stepped closer. Tomas, what does it need? He met her eyes. Us. The corridor changes. By evening, the hallway was no longer a hallway. The walls had begun to warp. Subtle at first, then unmistakable. The white composite panels stretched upward, elongating like the stone towers of the dream city. The LED strips dimmed, flickered, and shifted to a cold, bluish hue. The air smelled of dust and ancient stone. Christina stood at the threshold, unable to step inside. Kian whispered, it's merging. Christina nodded. The boundary between here and there is thinning. Kian swallowed. How long until it breaks completely? Christina didn't answer, because she already knew. Not long at all. The footsteps. That night, the facility intercom crackled to life. A voice whispered through the speakers. Not human, not language. A scraping, dragging sound. Footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Coming from the east hallway. Christina and Kian ran. They reached the hallway entrance and froze. The corridor was dark now, lit only by a faint, unnatural glow from the far end. And in the dust on the floor, footprints. Not human. Long, narrow, three-toed, leading toward them, then stopping, as if whatever made them was standing right in front of the threshold. Watching, waiting. Christina whispered, it's here. Kian whispered, no, it's awake. The decision. The facility council convened at dawn, though no one had slept. The conference room lights flickered with the same bluish tint that had infected the hallway, as if the anomaly were spreading through the electrical system. Director Halden stood at the head of the table, jaw clenched. We seal the east wing. Weld the bulkheads. No one goes near it. Christina shook her head. It won't matter. Halden glared at her. Explain. The anomaly isn't spatial anymore, Christina said. It's conceptual. It's using the wormhole as a bridge, but it's not limited to physical space. It's bleeding into our perception, our dreams, our thoughts. Kian added, if we seal the hallway, it'll just find another path. Halden slammed his palm on the table. Then what do you propose? Christina hesitated, because the truth was terrifying. We need to go in. Silence. Halden stared at her as if she'd lost her mind. Into the hallway? Into the city, Christina said. Consciously, controlled, with monitoring. If we understand what it wants, maybe we can stop it. Kian exhaled. Or we'll give it exactly what it's waiting for. Christina met his eyes. It already knows our names. It already knows we're here. The only question is whether we face it on our terms or on its. Halden looked around the room. No one disagreed, because they all knew the truth. The Dream City wasn't coming. It had already arrived. The descent. They prepared a controlled entry protocol, e.g. monitoring, biometric tracking, a tether system to pull the subject out if needed. Christina volunteered first. Kian argued, you're the lead physicist. If something happens to you, that's exactly why I have to go, Christina said. I understand the wormhole better than anyone. Kian's voice softened. I don't want to lose you. Christina paused. Then, you won't. She hoped she wasn't lying. They set up the monitoring station just outside the warped hallway. The walls now resembled pale stone more than composite, and the air carried a faint echo, as if the corridor were much larger than it appeared. Christina stepped to the midpoint. Her eyelids grew heavy. Her breath slowed. Kian's voice crackled through her earpiece. Christina, your EG is spiking. Pull back. She tried, but her limbs felt submerged in warm sand. I can't. Her knees buckled. The world dissolved. The city of silence. Christina opened her eyes. She stood in the city. The vast, empty metropolis stretched in every direction. Monolithic towers, wide boulevards, pale stone glowing faintly under the black sky. The air was still, too still, as if the entire place were holding its breath. Her heart pounded. Kian? She whispered. No response. The tether was gone. She was alone. A faint sound echoed through the streets. A whisper. A footstep. She turned. Something tall and thin stood at the end of the boulevard. The silhouette wavered like heat distortion. It had no face, no features. Just a long, narrow head and limbs that bent at impossible angles. It raised one arm. Not a threat. A greeting. Christina swallowed hard. What are you? The figure tilted its head. And suddenly, she wasn't standing in the city anymore. She was standing in her childhood bedroom. Her mother humming in the kitchen. Her father laughing in the living room. Warmth. Safety. Memory. Then the walls melted into stone. The sky turned black. The figure stood beside her. And she understood. It wasn't showing her memories. It was showing her that it had access to them. The exchange. The figure stepped closer. Christina felt pressure behind her eyes, like fingers gently prying open her thoughts. Images flashed. The wormhole. The facility. The hallway. Rafi collapsing. Lien screaming. Tomas whispering it knows our names. The figure absorbed each memory like a sponge. Then it projected something back. Concept. A message. Not words, but understanding. We dream you. You dream us. The boundary is thin. We are learning. We are becoming. Christina staggered backward. Becoming what? The figure didn't answer. Instead, it showed her the city from above. A vast circular layout. Pattern. A symbol. The same symbol now etched into the hallway floor. Christina gasped. It's not a city, she whispered. It's a mind. The figure stepped closer, and she felt it. Presence. Ancient. Vast. Awake. The pull. Kian watched Christina's body convulse on the floor of the hallway. Her EG spiked into patterns no human brain should produce. Pull her out, he shouted. Technicians grabbed the tether. It snapped. Cleanly, as if cut by something sharp. Kian froze. That's impossible. Then Christina's body went still. Too still. Her vitals are dropping, a medic yelled. Kian knelt beside her, gripping her hand. Christina, come back. Please. Her eyelids fluttered. Her lips parted. And she whispered, it's coming. The breach. The hallway transformed over the next hour. The walls stretched upward, merging into impossible angles. The floor cracked, revealing pale stone beneath. The air shimmered with heat distortion. And at the far end of the corridor, a doorway formed. Not a physical door. A threshold. A tear. Through it they could see the city. Not a dream. Not a hallucination. A place. Kian stared at it, horror and awe mixing in his chest. The wormhole isn't transporting dreams anymore. Tomas nodded slowly. It's transporting reality. The doorway pulsed. A shadow moved behind it. Tall. Thin. Waiting. The message. Christina regained consciousness in the infirmary. Her skin was cold. Her pulse weak. But her mind was clear. Too clear. Kian sat beside her. Christina, what happened? She looked at him with hollow eyes. It's not trying to invade. Kian frowned. What do you mean? It's trying to connect. Kian shook his head. It's killing people. No, Christina said. It's waking them. Kian stared at her. Waking them to what? Christina swallowed. To itself. The truth. She explained everything. The city was a mind. The figures were projections. The wormhole was a synapse. The dreams were signals. The symbols were neural patterns. The corridor was becoming a conduit. It's not a place, Christina said. It's a being. A consciousness the size of a world. And it's been dreaming for eons. Kian whispered, why now? Because we touched it, Christina said. Our wormhole experiment brushed against its mind. And when it noticed us, it became curious. Kian's voice trembled. Curious about what? Christina met his eyes. About what we are. The arrival. The doorway widened. The facility shook. Lights flickered. Alarms blared. Halden shouted over the intercom. All personnel evacuate immediately, but it was too late. The threshold split open like a wound, and the city poured through. Not physically, conceptually. The walls of the facility bent into impossible geometry. The ceiling stretched into a black sky. The floor cracked into pale stone. The dream city was overriding reality. Kian grabbed Christina's arm. We have to go. Christina didn't move. She stared at the threshold. The tall, thin figure stepped through. The silhouette flickered. Its limbs elongated. Its head tilted. And it spoke. Not aloud. Inside their minds. We are awake. You are awake. We dream together now. The choice. The facility trembled as the city expanded. People collapsed, slipping into forced dreams. Some screamed. Some went silent. Kian pulled Christina toward the exit. We can still escape. Christina shook her head. There's nowhere to escape to. It's not invading the facility. It's rewriting the boundary between worlds. Kian's voice cracked. Then what do we do? Christina stepped toward the figure. Kian grabbed her wrist. Christina! She turned to him. This isn't an attack. It's communication. And if we don't answer, it will keep pushing until we break. Kian stared at her, terrified. And if you answer? Christina looked at the figure. I don't know. She stepped forward. The figure extended a hand. Christina took it. The merge. The world dissolved. Christina stood in the city again. But this time she wasn't alone. Kian stood beside her. Rafi, Yen, Tomas, dozens of others. All awake, all aware. The city pulsed with light. The sky rippled. And the presence, the vast consciousness, spoke. We seek understanding. We seek connection. We seek to dream with you. Christina felt its thoughts brushing hers. Curiosity, wonder, loneliness. It wasn't a monster. It was a mind that had never known another. She whispered, "What happens now?" The presence answered, "We become more." The new dawn. When the facility rescue teams arrived 3 days later, they found the East Wing empty. No bodies, no debris, just a long, silent hallway. At the far end, etched into the floor, was a single symbol, a circle, a city, a mind, and beneath it, a message carved in pale stone: "We are awake." Epilogue. Months later, strange dreams spread across the globe. Dreams of a vast, empty city under a black sky. Dreams of tall, thin figures watching with gentle curiosity. Dreams of connection. Scientists dismissed them as mass hysteria. Governments suppressed reports. But Christina knew the truth. Wherever she was now, whatever she had become, she whispered into the dreaming world, "The corridor is open, the boundary is thin, and the city is waiting." This is the end of the sci-fi story, The Corridor of Sleep. Leave a like if you enjoyed the story, and subscribe for more sci-fi stories. Thanks for listening.